Hello. Welcome back to the Dinero Twins podcast, where we talk about all things business and money. Today we have episode number 20 for you guys, and it's definitely full of gems. We're going to be talking about the 7 streams of income of the wealthy. Hey, Twin.
Hi, Twin. Yes, welcome back, everyone. Very, very good episode today that we are about to launch. If you have not yet done so, please go back to our previous episodes, check those out, and also subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. We have amazing topics coming up in the next few weeks, so we want to make sure you don't miss those, that you are first to hear about them every Wednesday morning on your favorite platform. So what's up, Twin?
Yeah, so what inspired today's topic? I think that I feel like we're shifting in a place in our economy where a lot of people are realizing that depending on one stream of income is too close to none, right? It's actually to your demise for you to only rely on one stream of income. And I feel like it kind of shies away from the norms of the way that we were raised, the way that we thought the road to success was. And for so many people, that still is the norm, that still is the way that they look at the world, right? And that's the whole concept of, going to school, getting good grades, getting a college degree, getting a job, a stable job, and then working for pretty much the rest of your life until you're able to retire. And just depending on a 9 to 5 as your only source of income has taught us, especially within the last 2-3 years during the pandemic, that a lot of people kind of their reality shifted, right? Because they saw that their job was so easy to let them go. So that is pretty much what inspired us to have this conversation today. So we're going to dive into what are those 7 different streams of income that, mainly most wealthy people, most millionaires, billionaires, they have all these 7 streams of income, right? And it's not only for the wealthy. These are concepts, these are techniques that we can pick up, right? That ideas that we can develop for our own lives, so we can also, be on those roads to riches, right, Twin?
Yes, that is the goal, guys. So we want to just share those 7. These are definitely strategies that are being used for that top 1%, right? The top 1% of society that makes, in that 400K range, which I think is what that 1% is right now. But so let's start with the first one. So the first one is earned income. So earned income is just mainly, the income that you receive from your job, the income that you get regularly from your employer, whether that's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. So that's typically kind of the foundation of getting into all of the 7 buckets of creating wealth. Again, this is the one that we've been kind of programmed to attain, right? This is like the best of the best thing to start with in adulthood, is to get a full-time job. But of course, I always tell folks that's not a bad thing. It's just one of those things that you got to use to develop all the other ones, right? To kind of put you on a path to want to diversify that income into other streams.
Absolutely. And I think that's so important that you mentioned that, Twin, because you mentioned that it's usually where we all start, but it's not where we want to stay, because if you actually think about it, when you have earned income, essentially what you're doing is that you're constantly exchanging your time for money. And we know that, when you're leveraging when you're leveraging time, we don't have much time, right? I always say that time is, the rarest commodity, because we do not get more of. Time is the only commodity that we don't get more of, right? So why not find ways that we can leverage our money so we can get more time to do other things, right? So yes, use this earned income that you get through your job, to be able to apply into the other 6 streams of incomes that we're gonna, keep diving into, which now leads into the second one, which is profit income. So profit income is essentially the concept of, making money by selling a product or selling a service, right? And in today's day and age, selling physical products, I wouldn't say that it's kind of diluting, but I feel like we're shifting into a space where now people are using social media and using these online platforms to sell more digital products, right? So digital products are on the rise now, because if you think about it, the cost that it takes to create a physical product versus a digital product is like very minimal, right? And sometimes not even, it doesn't require a lot of, money, a lot of capital to create a digital product, right? So that gives you the ability to make money by selling a service, selling a product, and it's something that, again, you can do it actively or you can do it passively, right? Now, diving into what the difference in between the two are, when you're selling something or you're, positioning yourself, and also I want to kind of mention this as a side note, profit income is kind of like the entry level for a lot of people that are trying to dive into entrepreneurship, right? Because it's usually kind of like the first thing that many people do, and that's getting into sales, right? And sales has the ability to quadruple your income because there's no limit to how much you can sell, right? But going back into my point, there's a difference in between active and passive income. The active income is when you're more involved in it. So for example, if you're selling art pieces, right? That requires you to, paint or draw or actually physically do the labor, right? But when you're doing something passively, you may have systems set in place where the art might digitally create itself, right? Or you might leverage or delegate that for someone else, and then you sell that art piece for, a higher value, right?
Yes.
So that's a difference in between active. Active requires you to be more involved in it, right? It requires more time commitment, as opposed to passive, that you can pretty much create systems or manufacture around where it doesn't require so much of your physical time.
Yes, and active is very important to know the difference, because a lot of folks that are like, hey, I want to start a side business while I have my job. I like to cook, for example, right? Some people are like, I like to cook. I want to start making like cakes, or I want to start making catering food on the weekends. Then they realize that it takes a lot more time to start a business like that, because you physically have to be present. Like, you have to get the stuff, purchase the stuff, make the stuff, sell the stuff, right? As opposed to, like you said, a digital product, which is you do it once and then it sells itself. You just have to put the work into the marketing and all that other stuff. But yeah, very important to identify both, for sure. Yeah, so let's get into interest income. So interest income is literally another strategy that a lot of folks use it's a safer, let's say, more safest type of stream, right? Where you don't have to really do much work, but you have to put, an X amount of dollars to work for you in the form of interest payments. So that can be either towards putting your money in a high yielding account, whether that's like a high yielding index account or something that pays you more than if your money just sat in the bank. And that's also an actual strategy. I don't typically have done that myself. I like to keep my income, my streams a little more active. But for someone that's like, what, I have a couple of, $1,000 put away and I'm okay with getting X amount a month to cover a bill and just getting that interest income, that also works out really good.
Yes, yes. And this is actually a technique that you can make money more passively, right? And like you mentioned, Twin, it's very safe. Is it the most lucrative compared to other strategies out there? Not really, right? Because in essence, like, you can lend out money, and lending out money in exchange for, for lending out your money to make money can look in different forms for everyone. So for example, when you lend out money to the bank, in the form of a CD, right? So it's kind of like you're putting your money in a CD account, certificate of deposit, that you set it aside for 3 to 5 years. That's what you're making money. You're making money from lending the banks your money, which the banks are then taking your money and making, say 10 or 15% rate of return, but then they give you back, very minimal, like I'm talking about somewhere between 1 to like 3%, I believe, is the interest on the earnings on a CD, right? So is it worth it? No, but is it an option? Yes, right? There's also bonds, there's also treasury bills, and it's a concept of making money off of lending. But yes, it's very passive. It's not as much lucrative. And no, we're not telling you to go invest your money into these vehicles. We just want to give you the educational purpose behind it.
Yeah, but Twin also mentioned that, you're in life insurance, right? So there's a type of life insurance that is passive income, passive interest, right?
Yes. And I know many of you guys that have watched a lot of our episodes or have followed us. You guys remember we had an episode where we talked specifically about how to build wealth through life insurance, right? So this is literally what I teach people every day, how you can use vehicles like a index universal life, where you are in essence investing your money into a life insurance, even though it's not considered an investment. I do want to clarify that this is not considered an investment. It's a life insurance, but this life insurance mimics a stock index like the S&P 500. So depending on how this index performs will determine what you get credited back. So you can get a higher rate of return than, your average CD bonds or treasury bills or even banks, right? And at the same time, those are earnings that you can essentially use tax-free. Right. So
Yeah,
I
it's
know
just
we don't
another
have so
way.
much time to dive all the way into that. Right. But if this is something that you guys want to learn more on how you could do, I would say reference back to our episode, I believe it's episode number 7, which we talk about how to build wealth through life insurance.
Yes, yes. I just wanted to make sure you plug that in.
Thanks, twin.
So we talked about you're next. Yeah.
Yeah, so now we have the next one is dividend income. Okay, so dividend income is actually another very popular way to kind of like make money passively, right? And dividend income is essentially is you investing in stocks that pay part of the profit to their shareholders. So when you buy a stock, you become part owner of that company, right? And they're in essence, when companies report profit, then they pay out a portion of those profits in forms of dividends to their shareholders, right? So that's where the whole concept of dividends comes about. Investing in dividend paying stocks can be very lucrative, right? Are we gonna sit here and talk about all the stocks that you should invest in? No, because that's not our place. We recommend that you do your own research, right? Everybody investment risk is different. So we want to make sure that you understand what your level of investment is and what you're comfortable with doing, right? We're not going to talk about stock picks of the day, right?
Right. That's not our thing.
but it's definitely a way for you to make money passively, right? And also just identifying how much you're willing to invest, and just understand that there are risks involved in anything that has to do with, the market and things like that. But yes, investing in stocks can yield you dividend income, which you can pretty much earn passively. And usually these dividends are paid out on a quarterly basis, right? And depending on the companies, some can be more frequently, some can be, much later, right? But I would definitely say if this is something that you're looking to do on a passive side, definitely make sure you do your research and be strategic about, where you're investing your money.
Yeah, and a quick tip, just, do a quick Google search for top dividend paying stocks, and you can literally get a list online. And it'll tell, we won't name the companies, but it'll tell you which companies are paying dividends on what, right? Like the amount, the percentage on the stock price that you will get paid every quarter. So just do a quick tip on that, quick search.
Awesome.
Yeah, so rental income is the next one, my favorite. Rental income is just another way to increase your yearly income, right? So you treat it like a job. You literally say, you know what? I need to invest in a rental property, whether that's a small property, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, whether you want to invest into a single family or multi-family or something abroad, in a vacation destination. No matter how you want to do it, there's so many strategies to it. Earning that rental income just can be just another slice of the pie, right? You can say, okay, I'm gonna aim to gain, $500 a month in rental income, and then the next year I want to double that, or I want to triple that, and before you know it, you can literally pay yourself a whole salary, just based on that strategy. So rental income is definitely one of the safest ways to go. I do recommend that folks just get, educated on the process. buying, getting that tenant, pricing the unit, you know, understanding the laws behind renting and things like that. So shameless plug, just go to my website.
Right. I was gonna say, twin, let them know, because this is what you do, right? You
This is what I
literally
do.
teach people on how to get started in, rental income and how to place a tenant, all of this stuff. So how can they, get to you? How can they attend your classes?
Yeah, urbanteachnyc.com. That's it. That's
There you
simple.
go.
Go
There
right on
you
the
go.
website.
And I like the fact that we're talking about this one because that, again, to me, is also one of my favorite ones. I mean, we had an episode where we talked about Airbnb, right?
Yes.
And that's also another way of us making money passively, right? Again, and it's something that can be active, it can be passive. But this is why you want to make sure you work with a mentor and someone to guide you. So therefore you can identify how you can delegate certain things, especially if this is something that you're looking to do part-time. But there's also different ways for you to make money by buying and renting things out, Sorry about that. There's different ways that we can make money by buying and renting things out. For example, cars, right? Cars, renting out equipment and renting out, instruments and things like that. And I believe we're going to have an episode about, Turo and the car rental space. So I'm looking forward to that. But that's also another way that you can make money by buying and renting things out, right?
Yes. Even like event spaces too, which we hardly have ever talked about. Event spaces is a huge business.
There you go. Commercial spaces, right? Industrial. So when you want to rent out, let's say what is that thing called? Like a loft or a warehouse. To a business that's coming to do to manufacture, do things in that city. So there's a lot of opportunities, land. There's so many different ways, and I believe we're gonna have an episode where we probably dive into this a little bit more because there's so many different areas in that one
section of the 7 streams.
Exactly. So I'm definitely excited about that one. Another one, number 6, is residual and royalty income. So residual and royalty income is when you continue to get paid off of the work that you've already done. And this to me is very lucrative because it's kind of like, in essence, you doing something once and continuously getting paid for it again, right? Now this may look different for everybody. For example, when it comes to like residual income can be look like, for example, when you have actors in a movie, right? They get paid every time you watch a movie or things like that. And this also in books, right? The sale of books. This is also where residual incomes come into play. YouTube, right? So we have a YouTube channel, and this is something that, we're building up our platform so we can also, be able to do this. And I know that YouTube is still one of those things that is kind of like, it hasn't reached its full potential, because I know there's so many opportunities in the YouTube space, because YouTube is like the second biggest search engine compared to Google, right? So there's a lot of opportunity there. Now, one of the things that I do enjoy about residual income, and then I'm going to relate it back to myself, is that I'm in the financial industry, right? Specifically life insurance. Now, when you are in the insurance industry, when you sell a life insurance, you have the opportunity to make residual income for every single time that person renews their life insurance policy. And usually it's done automatically, right? Because the average person keeps their life insurance policy with the intention to keep it for a really long time, right? Because we never know. So up to like 10 to 15 years, you will be making residual income off of that one policy that you sold maybe a year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right? So, finding ways to make residual incomes in that way, right? Now we're getting it into royalty. So royalty is the idea of, or not the idea, but royalty is in essence letting other people use your ideas in exchange for money, right? And this is also seen very commonly in the music space, right? So whenever an artist produces a song, the production label, producing label, they sell it out or they decide to stream it. Every time that you stream a song, that artist gets paid, right? The same thing, royalties also applies to books, right? And also like intellectual property and all of these different things that would allow you to make royalty by leveraging out your ideas to other people. And again, it's
Goes
a
on
space
and on, right? There's so much,
that,
there's
right?
so much.
It's so much. I mean, if this is something that intrigues you, I would definitely say, start off with a book. I feel like the book is
Yeah.
usually like I definitely want to write a book.
Same here.
So that's gonna be a space that I'm gonna be able to explore in the near future. Or even just look for opportunities that give you the ability to make residual income. And usually in sales, in the sales industry, you have a lot of opportunity to leverage that, right? So there you have it. That's
Yeah.
residual and royalty income.
That's amazing, Twin. Yeah. So again, guys, 7 ways, right? Let's get away from this mentality that it's only all about the job. The job is just that foundation to get you rolling into any of these other vehicles of, creating passive or active income. So 7 ways, this is how the wealthy do it. This is what the strategy is, it can be 7 ways minimum, right? Some of them have
Yeah.
8, 9, 10. There's like so many other categories to get into, but the point is to start building one at a time to get you to that place where you can feel like you can walk away from that job because now all of the other ones are supplementing your full-time income. So yeah,
Yes.
here you guys have it.
We have one last one though.
Oh, we
Uh,
do.
Capital gains.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yes. See, this is what happens, guys. This is real life right here.
This is
Capital.
live.
Yeah, this is live. Capital gains. Yes, capital gains is super important. So capital gains is essentially the lump sum wins that you make from an investment. So let's, for example, you sell a property, which I just happen to have capital gains as part of my income for 2021. I sold a
Nice.
property, so a lump sum of my earnings from that one sale is categorized as capital gains in my, overall income for the year. So if you sell a car and there's a residual income left over, if you sell a property and there's income left over that becomes, yours, that's considered capital gains. So again, a business, right? You sell a business and you were able to mark it up and get that extra cash out of it. That's also capital gains.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just another one of those things that you can, build something up and
Mm-hmm.
every year or every 2 years say, I have enough equity in this specific thing that I can cash out now.
Right, right. And I also want one thing that I also want to mention that's important is that, capital gains mainly apply to when you have an asset that appreciates in value and then you sell it, right?
Yes.
Because let's say you buy a car, but then that car depreciates in value, you sell it, you're not gonna make a profit from that sale. You're gonna be at a loss, right? So when Twin talks about, she sold a piece of real estate and she got capital gains from that sale, it's because she sold it for much more than what she bought it at, right, Twin?
Right.
So
Yes.
that's where capital gains come into play. And capital gains can not only be for real estate, but it can be for stocks, right?
Yes.
When you buy a stock at a low price and then you sell it at a higher price, that's also some capital gains. And also to keep in mind with all of these 7 different strategies, make sure that you do your research on how these things are taxed, right? We didn't want to dive so much into the whole tax and the logistics of that because we want you to reference to a tax professional, so you can be or even go to the irs.gov or the tax code and things like that, so you can be well prepared. But these things are taxed differently. Some things are taxed on capital gains, some things are profit income, some things are earned income or income taxes, right? Which income taxes tend to be like the highest form of taxes that could go up to 40%, right? So we want to make sure you do your due diligence on that as well. And before, you don't want to be caught by surprise and things like that. So all of these things are really great for you to know. But at the same time, we do advise that you do your own due diligence as well.
Yeah, that's a very important piece of it because out of the 7, there are some that get taxed a lot more heavy than others. So you want to make sure that if you're working really hard on one of the 7, that you understand that you might have to give back a bigger chunk of your money to the government, right? So
exactly. So these are all things for you to know. But I definitely hope that you got extreme value from this conversation because it was so much fun kind of like doing our own different research and even getting on here and talking about these things in our own experience. So I definitely hope that you got as much value from this and that you can share this for someone else that would also appreciate this conversation. Also, let us know in the comments what source of income from the 7 that you mentioned, the 7 that we mentioned, you currently are active doing or passively doing, right? Or let us know which ones are you planning to add on in 2022, right? So let us know.
Yes, for sure. We want to know. And for those parents that are listening, make sure that you have your kids involved in these kind of conversations. Any high schoolers out there, middle schoolers, it's really good for them to know that these are 7 ways to start building wealth. The sooner we do it, the better, right?
Yes. Well, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Look forward to our next episodes, because we have a lot of great things in store with you guys for you guys this year. And you definitely don't want to make sure that you miss out on that. So
yes.
Until next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye,